Hello everybody, welcome to Nature at Home. My name is Joel, and today we're going to be talking all about the coyote. I want to say eastern coyote. They are technically the same species, but they are the eastern coyote and western coyote are kind of becoming two separate species, and I'll talk about that in a minute. There is a lot of feelings about coyotes, strong feelings, pro and con. Fusion, there's a lot of myths, stories about coyotes, amazing facts about coyotes. Coyotes are featured in almost every Native American culture, has lots and lots of stories of coyotes, and coyotes are featured as characters. But yet the wolf is rarely ever featured in many of these stories, or not nearly as prominent character. So the coyote has definitely had a large impact on human society for thousands of years, much more than even the wolf. People seem to like wolves a lot more sometimes, but the coyotes definitely been more of a cultural impact on people. As far as an animal goes, there's wild canine that lives around here. They can grow up to about 55 pounds, or some of the records of people who've actually shot them and put them on a scale and weighed them and recorded it scientifically. They can live up to 20 years in captivity, so much longer than a domestic dog. They rarely ever live that long in the wild. As soon as you start getting old and can't keep up with everyone, you usually don't make it anymore. They kind of live in loose social groups compared to a wolf, which has like a pack with a very structured hierarchy. Coyotes tend to more be solo or live in pairs. Sometimes they get together in kind of a social group to hunt together. When you hear coyotes howling at night, that's usually the social group, everyone gathering sometimes and getting together, or calling back and forth to each other. They don't really howl once they're actively hunting, as that would just alarm prey to their presence. They howl the same reason we all use cell phones, to call each other and get together. They have litter of pups. They can have anywhere from 3 to 12 pups every single time they have a litter. There are some studies that show when they're under hunting stress, they produce even larger litters than normal. And then their habitat is everywhere. They like to live in woods, they like to live in open plains, they like to live in grasslands, swamps. There are coyotes that live in Central Park in New York City. There are coyotes that live in downtown Chicago. There are coyotes that live, I'm sure, in your neighborhood. Where the wolf needs lots of open, wild habitat to survive, the coyote can live almost anywhere. So they're mostly a carnivore, but they do eat some fruits and vegetables. This would be the skull of a coyote. So, the skull of an animal that size right there. This is a pretty average sized coyote sitting here next to me. One of the ways to tell them from wolves is they usually have much larger ears in proportion to their body, and their muzzle is a little more narrow compared to that of a wolf. From a distance, it can be hard to tell a wolf and a coyote apart. I even have a hard time telling. Their only weight, when I say their weight, 40 to 55 pounds would be a huge one. They look a lot bigger than that. They have a lot of fur on their body. They have a very thick fur coat. Being within 15 feet of a wild one, they look like they're the size of a German Shepherd, but they don't weigh as much as our domestic dog. They're a lot leaner of an animal and with a bigger, heavier fur coat. This is the fur of a coyote. So you kind of get a good size one. So you kind of get an idea of the size of the animal. Right? Nice fur coat. Okay. Now, coyotes' food around here, like I said, they eat some fruits and vegetables, but they mostly prey on whatever they can get their mouth on. Frogs, mice, rabbits, groundhogs, turkeys, grouse, pheasant, songbirds, deer, whatever they can get their mouth on, they will eat. Deer usually don't become an item unless it's fawns. or if it's adults deer, usually near the end of winter. Near the end of winter, deer are getting very weak as they're running out of food. The snow is very deep and deer don't float well in snow. They have skinny feet, so they punch down in, they can't run as fast. So the coyote has much larger feet and is much lighter for its size, and so actually sits on top of the heavier snow much better. And so coyotes actually have a chance of catching deer during this time of the year. But most of the year, a deer is going to outrun a coyote, no problem. Coyotes are mostly nocturnal animals. They mostly come out at night when they're most active, especially if around human settlement. But they do come out and hunt during the daytime, especially if you're out in the woods. Just because you see a coyote out in the day does not mean it's rabid by any means. I see them out in the day quite a bit. And coyotes have a territory range. They can roam. They might roam, several miles every single day, and they might cover, 15 to 100 miles in a week, depending on how far they want to travel. Now, when I talk to most people about coyotes, I immediately get asked about coy dogs, and a lot of people around here call coyotes coy dogs. So a coy dog is when a coyote and a domestic dog breed together, then you get a coy dog. When you look at a coy dog, you can usually tell what the domestic breed is. Like if it was a German Shepherd or a Collie, you can usually see that in the features of the animal. Most coy dogs are not going to survive because they only have one parent. If the coyote was the mother, the coyote is going to be trying to raise the young on its own, versus normally it would have a male mate to help it raise the pup. So the pups usually will not survive. If the mother was a domestic dog, then the coyote is going to that coy dog is going to get raised in captivity with its human owners. And it can have a mixed temperament of a coyote and a domestic dog, so it's not a wise idea to keep them as pets. Some people thought they're coy dogs. All of our coyotes are coy dogs because of their size. And that gets into the whole eastern western coyote discussion. So coyotes typically are a 25 to 30 pound animal that lives out in the western plains. Now we've been getting more and more coyotes in the east, up in the northeast, and we're getting what we're calling, scientists are trying to call it the eastern coyote. It's like a subspecies. They're larger, more like 40 to 55 pounds. There are a couple of reasons because of this. One, colder climates favor larger animals, larger bodied animals do better in colder climates. They retain body heat better. Just like our white-tailed deer are bigger and heavier than white-tailed deer that live in Florida. Two, they have wolf DNA or ancestry in them. So the main predator of a coyote is the gray wolf. As people settled the Northeast, we killed off all the gray wolves. We didn't like them around. Felt like they were a danger to us, danger to our livestock, so we killed them. And so the gray wolves got extirpated from the Northeast and almost the entire US. That created kind of a power vacuum. Normally gray wolves hunt down and kill coyotes. They'll even dig up the den just to kill all the pups inside of it. They do not want coyotes around. They are mutual competitors. With the gray wolf absent, it left areas for coyotes to move into the Northeast. And so that habitat opened up, so coyotes were able to start taking over the Northeast because the wolf is gone. At the same time, most behavioral biologists believe that coyotes and wolves would never interbreed because wolves always kill coyotes. But it turns out, if a female wolf is in heat and there are no male wolves around, she will in fact mate with a coyote. And the DNA evidence proves this. Blood samples from coyotes around here show anywhere from 25 to 75% of their DNA is from a gray wolf. So because of that, their size is larger. Some of their behavior is more like a gray wolf. They're not as claustrophobic. They'll go into tighter spaces. Their call can sound different. Will sound like a mix between a wolf and a coyote even. So that's kind of how the eastern coyote is becoming a separate species from the western coyote. Coyotes have been known to take small pets from people's houses, but typically they're eating food in wild places. Attacks on humans by coyotes are extremely rare and have pretty much only been small children, like toddlers, left alone from their parents. And that's pretty much the only case of any confirmed attacks of coyotes on people. having a predator in your ecosystem is healthy for an ecosystem. It keeps your certain species from becoming too abundant, altering the ecosystem in bad ways. Also, when certain species, like say deer, get too abundant, disease spreads much more rapidly through that population, because they're more crowded. Having predator also kills off a lot of weaker individuals. Stronger individuals are left behind. So that there's more resources now for those stronger individuals, because if you have a predator animal. Too many deer, you get browse line in the woods. You actually get the understory is taken away. You actually get less homes for species like cottontail, snowshoe hare. You can have erosion issues on rivers because deer are eating all the trees along the banks. So not having a predator for an animal is an issue. The coyotes is filling that void, filling that predator niche. At the same time, what limits, now that gray wolves are gone, mountain lions are gone in an area, what really limits coyotes is just amount of prey. If there's enough food, lots of food abundant, then there's going to be plenty of food for all the pups, and most of those 12 pups in the litter are going to survive and grow up. If there's not a lot of abundant food for coyotes, then a lot of the pups are going to starve to death. If there's fewer coyotes around, that's fewer mouths to feed, that's more food for fewer coyotes. U.S. Fish and Wildlife spends millions of dollars every year shooting coyotes, trying to control the population. It's a very controversial thing. It doesn't seem to be the most effective practice. If you ever want to learn about coyotes, I thought a good book was a book called Eastern Coyote by Jerry Parker. It's everything and more than you ever wanted to know all about eastern coyotes in general, and how they've colonized the whole East Coast. Yeah. Thank you for watching today. Thank you to New York Power Authority for funding the Nicandria Nature Center and the programs we do here. And I'll see you all next time.